We're at the We the People Freedom Rally in Woodland Hills, California, and we've had folks for the past few weekends coming out and rallying in support of opening up California and opening up America, because while we understand that there is COVID-19 that's going around, and we understand that there are people dying of COVID-19, we do also recognize that we can be strategic about reopening America, reopening California. And part of that involves us ensuring that our state lawmakers know that we are here, we are loud, and we are here en masse to let them know that we need to open up California so business owners can go back to being business owners, so that American families can go back to a sense of normalcy, and to show that, hey, we do not need to live in a constant state of fear over a virus, in a constant state of fear over our own government, because when we have the people fearing their own government, that's tyranny right there. So we need to remind our American citizens of what their constitutional rights are. We've seen over the past few weeks how many of our Americans' First, Second, and Fourth Amendment rights have been trampled upon, shamelessly, just trampled upon by our liberal politicians, particularly in California, in Oregon, in Washington, in Chicago, in New York. And now it's time for the American people to finally put their foot down and stand up to the leftist tyranny.
You're running against the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus. Are they exclusively Democrat?
So the Congressional Black Caucus, I would say, is almost exclusively like 99% Democrat. Karen Bass, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, has been representing the California's 37th Congressional District for about a decade now. And before that, she was in the California State Assembly for 12 years until she termed out. So imagine being in California politics for 2 decades, and you have very little, if anything, to show for it, for achievements when it comes to increasing or improving quality of life in the district. And right now we have people who have made peace with a low standard of living and a low quality of life. And that's not how Americans are supposed to live. We're supposed to be prosperous. We're supposed to be healthy. We're supposed to be educated. And that is why part of my campaign platform is ensuring that we keep America safe, that we keep America educated, and we keep America prosperous. And that is how, and part of my campaign involves voter education, because too often I go throughout the district and I ask folks who their elected representatives are, and they can't tell me who their congressperson is. They can't tell me who their state assembly person is or their state senator. But then when I asked them if they voted in the last election, half the respondents said yes. And that's a dangerous voter to bring to the polls, because if you'd have people who don't know who their representatives are and don't know what the issues are, then they're just going to keep going to the polls, voting Democrat by default, because they've been told time and time again that the Republicans are the devil, which we aren't. The Republicans, we are for individual rights, individual liberties, and individual responsibility. We're also for protecting our Constitution. And all of this factors into improving our quality of life, ensuring that we maintain our individual rights. And I'm grateful that so many people came out to show their support for opening up California and showing that, hey, we have patriots here in California who are willing and ready to fight back for our rights, for all Californians, for all Americans.
What do you think of the notion that the governor of California, the governor of New York, are trying to cripple their economy to get more federal funds that they can use to cover up for their own foibles and shortcomings?
The state of California has been in a $1 trillion deficit for many years now, and these leftist policies end up resulting in businesses leaving California, and when those businesses leave California, the business owners leave California, and also all the employees who worked for those companies. So imagine having heavy-handed leftist policies that hurt businesses and chase them out of the state, and then you wonder why the state is financially crippled. You wonder why Gavin Newsom and the Democrats in the Assembly and State Senate keep trying to raise taxes. We saw a gas tax and another gas tax, and the Measure H and Proposition Triple H. All of these are cash grabs for band-aids to problems. And it's time for conservative values to guide conservative policy in California, and we need to get more Republicans in our state assembly, more Republicans in our state senate, more Republicans in Congress, and having Republicans at the helm as governor and lieutenant governor.
Now, what would you think? Obviously, there's, in the Democrat Party, former Vice President Biden has said as a candidate that he's looking for a vice presidential candidate who would be a woman. What do you think about picking someone based on their gender or their race?
For a party that talks about equality so much, you would think that they would give each person an equal opportunity to succeed, an equal opportunity to vie for that VP spot. But here go the Democrats with their, what do you call that thing again? I don't even use it, so I forgot the name. Identity politics. They're using their identity politics to try to coax voters to for the VP spot. Like, I believe that it's important, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you pick the best candidate for the job.
Yes.
In this case, we have, on the Republican side, we have President Donald J. Trump, who is a vanguard for all of our conservative values. On the left, you have a senile old man who is on his way out. And the Democrats, they're engaging in, I would call, elder abuse, running this guy who barely knows where he is. Hey, what's going on?
Now, what do you think of the notion that a female candidate or politician can do better for women, or that a black candidate can do better for blacks, Latinos similarly?
I'll give you a great example. You asked, what do you think about a female candidate doing better for women? I believe that identity politics should not play into who you vote for. Here's why. Black people in the 37th Congressional District have been voting for Democrat Karen Bass, a black woman, for the past 10 years for Congress, and for 12 years before that in the state assembly. And their quality of life has not improved for 2 decades. So that is a shining example of why voting on identity politics does not work. We need to vote for the best person, the best candidate who has their best interest at heart. Now, what are those best interests? Well, ensuring that our children have the best education possible, an education choice. Ensuring that we have the ability to choose the best health care for ourselves and our family. Ensuring that we are financially empowered to take advantage of opportunities and use our opportunity to make the best life for ourselves and our families. These are some of the things that the Republican Party are proud to champion. So I believe that people who have historically voted Democrat by default in the past here in California, they need to start reevaluating what their conservative values are and start applying those conservative values to how they vote.
Well, but what about people who don't identify themselves as conservative or Republican at this stage in where things are at with the Democrat Party?
A couple weeks ago, I had a conversation with a Bernie bro. He was a young person, he's like 19 years old, he was a huge Bernie fan, and after speaking with him for a couple of days, he actually now wants to vote for President Trump because he's a small business owner. And he has seen the effects of California politics hurting small businesses. So even if you're not a Republican, even if you're not a conservative, even if you voted as an NPP or if you voted as Libertarian or voted as Democrat in the past, they're finally recognizing the danger of voting any Democrat into power, because for them right now it's just about a power grab. It's just about how much power can we wield over the people, how many rights can we strip away, and how much money can we glean out of their hard work. That's no way to live as an American. So yes, so while we have Republicans who are like holding down the fort and are strong champions for American values, like we're recognizing now that Democrats are coming around. Democrats are seeing the error in their ways. Democrats are seeing that they can't keep voting for Democrats because their decision to vote for Democrats will come back to bite them, and it's coming back to bite them right now. So let's hope they remember this coronavirus situation come November, so that they don't keep voting for the same people who enabled their business to be shut down, who enabled for their quality of life to go down.
What would you think about former First Lady Michelle Obama being selected to be a running mate or on the ticket in any way for the Democrat presidential candidacy?
I will say that if they ran Michelle Obama, it would make for an interesting election cycle because they would be able to run the identity politics angle because it would be a black woman who is married to Barack Obama. So, so of course there is that angle that they could push, and it would make for a much more interesting election cycle. I'll say that.
Do you think people would vote on the basis of her skin color?
There will always be people who vote based on skin color. I know people in past election cycles who have voted for people because they like how handsome a person was. Yes, you heard that correctly. Some people have voted based on looks. They're like, oh man, that guy is handsome. I need to vote for him. Yeah. And then they end up with Gavin Newsom. the silver-haired, groggy guy. Let me not use. Gavin Newsom.
But what would the risk of bringing the Obama family back to the White House be?
We are learning over the past few weeks with Obamagate that there has been a lot more deep-seated corruption that has happened in the months leading up to President Trump taking over as president. And now that all these facts are coming to light, we're now seeing that this corruption has been going much deeper than just in Congress, much deeper than just the FBI. It's now, it also has to do with President Obama's involvement in trying to undermine President Donald Trump during his presidency. And I hope that we see justice. We need a win for President Donald Trump. We need to ensure that whoever was trying to undermine him, and there's a long list, that they finally get what they have coming to them. That's all I'll say.
What about the Democrats alleging that President Trump is racist? Do you feel that way?
I do not believe President Trump is racist. I am a Republican who's running for Congress on a platform of making America safe, educated, and prosperous. I am a person who believes in the freedom of religion. I'm a person who believes that every life has value and that we need to protect life at all stages of life. I'm a person who believes that we need to lower taxes and reduce regulations to ensure that we incentivize businesses being able to thrive in America and businesses that have left the country to bring their business back to the United States. I'm a huge fan of our law enforcement and police, our law enforcement and our military and our veterans. And when you look at President Donald Trump, you see that he is a vanguard and a huge supporter of all of those things. And historically, you've seen Donald Trump, before he was President Donald Trump, working to better the black community. And now in office, he made promises to the black community before getting into office. What do you have to lose? He came into office, he followed through. We have the First Step Act. It was a nice battle, and we won the battle. Now we have people who have had lifetime sentences as a result of things like Biden's 94 crime bill. Now we have people getting a second lease on life. Now, other things that have helped the black community. We have things like opportunity zones, which allow for individuals in our districts to finally become community stakeholders. So instead of watching their district be infiltrated by outsiders who then invest in their community and they're locked out of the investment, they can now become an investor in their own community. What we need to do on top of that is ensure that we educate our communities on how they can go about taking advantage of these opportunities so that all of California can benefit, that all of California can thrive.
What kind of support could you use in your campaign from the public?
The support that I need right now is putting together an army of people for boots on the ground, because starting in August and heading into September and October, we're going to be going door to door. We're going to be campaigning, we're going to be getting the word out. Right now, we're focusing heavily on online marketing for obvious reasons, and it's working very well. We're currently working on a documentary film, and that we're using that documentary film as part of our voter education campaign. So we're excited about the next few months of work that we're doing. But the help that I need right now is donations and people to come out and support my candidacy for Congress, to go out and go door to door with me and share campaign materials like this one and other materials that we'll be sharing along the campaign trail, and getting the word out that, hey, there's a Republican who cares about your best interest, and it's finally time to vote for Republicans here in California.